Class. So today I'm going to teach about assets, liability and owner's equity. For assets, we have long-term assets and we have short-term assets. Alright, let's start with the long-term assets. Long-term assets mean it is more than a year, which means more than a year. Alright, and the long-term asset has the same meaning with the fixed asset, which means long-term asset has the same meaning with the fixed asset. Alright, has the same meaning with the fixed asset. For example, we have lands and building. How about the short-term asset? Now, long-term asset is longer than a year, right? So, short-term asset would be lesser than a year. Do you know what is another term for short-term asset? It is current asset. Current assets. It is actually same meaning with the short-term asset. The example would be cash. Okay, these all are assets. Let's talk about liability. For liability, we have here non-current liability and also we have current liabilities or short-term liabilities or short-term liabilities. Okay, it is based on the current ones, which is lesser than a year. Alright, so non-current liabilities actually it means that more than a year. More than a year, it has the same meaning like here, which is same like the long-term asset. So same goes to the non-current liability, right? So it is more than a year. For example, it would be, it's related to long-term loans. Long-term loan. This is example for non-current liabilities. Now, let's talk about the current liabilities or also known as short-term liabilities. So, it is, the sample will be accounts payable, or also we can say tax payable. Tax payable. This is the example of the current liabilities, which is less than a year. Now, let's talk about the owner's equity. Before talking about the example of the owner's equity, we need to understand actually what is owner equity's definition. Well, easy to understand that the owner's investment in an asset after they deduct any liabilities would have the meaning of owner's equity. Alright, like what I can say here is that the owner's investment in an asset. So the owner invests in the asset, and then after that, after they invest in an asset, they will deduct any liabilities, which means liability means like loans. Okay, they credit it. Macam in terms in bahasa Melayu, we say it's hutang. Okay, the owner's investment in asset after deducting any liabilities. Okay, so they take the asset, invest it, and then they will deduct with what they owe. With what they owe. With what they owe. Okay, with what they owe, or loans, or credit, and hutang, they deduct that. That would be the owner's equity. Alright. So now, the example of the owner's equity is retained earning. Retained earning, it is dividends and also common stocks. So, they are the example, a few examples of the owner's equity. Now, let's straight do the exercises. For the exercises, what is cash? Is cash current asset, current liability, owner's equity, non-current liability, non-current asset? What would cash be? Okay, so pause the video. Okay, you have to do it and then we can check the answer together. So for exercises, for number 1, cash. Cash would be actually our current asset. It will be a current asset. Okay, current asset. Or they can also tell you in the question, which is like cash on hand. Okay, cash on hand is also same meaning with the current asset. So it is also current assets. So don't get confused or panic. Alright, so what about the store supplies? So store supplies is considered as a current asset. It also Okay, considered as a current assets. Okay, but remember, if the store supplies has been used, okay, so once it is been used, it is considered as expenses when it used. When it used, we consider as expenses. Alright, but current asset is not when they expend, not when they use lah. That's why we say it is current asset. Okay, expenses when it used. Alright. Okay, how about the long-term investment? Long-term investment. Okay, or it also called as non-current asset. Actually, it's a non-current asset. Non-current asset. Okay, why? Okay, first it's about investment. Okay, it's not like they owe or something. So that's why we say it's also long term. That's why I say non-current asset. How about the buildings? The building is actually for more than a year. More than 1 year. If it's more than 1 year, then we are going to tell that as non-current asset. Non-current asset, or we can also say it is a fixed asset. Okay, we can also say that as a fixed asset. Same goes to before. Okay, so we are going to do number 5 and 6. So machinery and equipment would be more than a year as well. If anything more than a year, then it is going to be non-current asset. Non-current assets. Okay. How about number 6? Number 6 is vehicle. So vehicle is also more than 1 year. If anything more than a year, okay, vehicle. So it's gonna talk about non-current assets. Remember, non-current asset and fixed asset has the same meaning. How about the number 7? Number 7 is goodwill. When we talk about goodwill, okay. So the goodwill will be non-current asset. Non-current assets. Okay, because it's for long-term business investments. For example, it is normally for property, plant and investment, goodwill or other intangible asset is considered as non-current assets. How about the patents? Patents is going to be non-current asset as well. Non-current asset as well because it is intangible asset. Because it is intangible asset, that's why we say it is a non-current asset. Intangible assets or anything related to PPE, plant, property and equipment. PPE is plant, property and equipment would be non-current asset and they are also called as intangible asset. Okay, how about accumulated amortization? Okay, now the accumulated amortization would be, is it an asset or liability? So it is going to be what? Tangible assets, right? It is a non-current asset as well. Non-current assets. Alright. How about notes receivable? Well, the notes receivable will be current asset. Current assets. How about the raw material? Okay, so raw material will also become current asset. Current assets. Let's see this. How about the prepaid insurance? Prepaid insurance is also current asset. Okay. How about the accounts receivable? Is it current asset? The word receivable itself, you know, it is an asset. So accounts receivable, is it a current asset or current asset or non-current asset? What do you think? Okay, so the answer is it is a current asset. Anything receivable, it means that it is a assets. Okay, receivable is a current asset. So it is a current assets. How about the prepaid rent and prepaid interest? Okay, if we saying about prepaid rent, so prepaid rent is actually a current asset. Current asset. Okay, whenever you say prepaid, this kind of word is actually they pay earlier. Example like you buy maybe McDonald's, you order from the Food Panda, so you take this online banking method, right? Like from the AFPX or debit card or credit card, whatever it is. So you use that thing, you pay first, then you receive the food later. That is what we call prepaid. Prepaid, alright? So prepaid is current asset. Same goes to prepaid interest as well. Okay? So now, cash on hand. So cash on hand would be current asset. It's the same meaning with cash, right? So it's current assets. Merchandise inventory. Well, inventory has the same meaning of stocks. When we talk about inventory, just assume like this. Okay, so example, the shoe company, they have a lot of shoes. So that is everything we say they have the stocks. Or Watsons, or like a store like Watsons, right? They sell like the beauty care and stuff like that. So you need to know that they have a lot of stocks. So whenever you have stocks about something, that is what we call as inventory. Okay, we keep the stocks. So they display the product, right? They display the product, like display the product, which is a sample, but we are going to purchase the stocks. Understand, right? So how about the drawings? Drawings would be our owner's equity. It will be our owner's equity. Retained earning is also our owner's equity. And capital would be owner's equity as well. Okay. So now, how about deferred revenue? Deferred revenue, this is our last one. Deferred revenue would be, okay, it's a deferred revenue. It's going to be a current liabilities. For more exercise like this, if you want to learn more about accounting, English, Bahasa Melayu or marketing, you may subscribe my channel and you may like this video. Thank you so much. Goodbye. Hope you have a good day.